You know, over the years, as I have walked the pathway at Scottsbluff National Monument, I've met a lot of people, and some of them I have known, and some of them I haven't known. People from all over the world actually come here and visit our Scottsbluff National Monument. One of the strangest ones I've had is a man who had a must have had a real fear of the rattlesnakes, and I've come across rattlesnakes up there on numerous occasions. But there was a time when I was walking up there on a regular basis, and at this particular hour of the morning, and he was there, and he'd play a radio. I don't know if it was on his cell phone or what it was, but he played his this music really loud, and he carried a stick and was always beating the ground. And here I was up there at the monument. I wanted to have peace and quiet. I wanted to hear the birds, and I wanted to just experience, the beauty of the monument. And he was spoiling it all with all this music. He wanted to make sure those rattlesnakes knew he was in the area and weren't going to bother him. So I encountered a lot of interesting people. There was a couple of followers of Jesus Christ. They weren't disciples of the 12, of the 11, but they were followers of Jesus Christ nonetheless. And they were on the road to apparently their home in a place called Emmaus. And they had an encounter with someone that was pretty awesome. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Well, let's just jump right into the scriptures and look at this very interesting encounter. That very day, there was a day that Jesus had risen from the dead. There were two of his followers, who were going to a village named Emmaus, which is about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking to each other about these things that had happened. And while they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What is this conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk along?" And they stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, named Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" And they said to him, "Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a mighty prophet in word and deed before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the 3rd day since these things have happened. Moreover, some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early in the morning, and when they did not find his body, they came back, saying that they had seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. And some of those who were with us went to the tomb, and they found it just as the women had said. But him they did not see. And he said to them, "O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all of the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. And so they drew near to the village to which they were going. He acted as if he were going further, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, for it's toward evening, and the day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. And when he was at table with them, he took the bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And he vanished from their sight. And they said to each other, "Did our hearts not burn within us while he talked to us on the road, while he opened to us the Scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened to them on the road, and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. That must have been a very thrilling moment for those followers of Christ when Jesus took the bread and he broke it and blessed it and broke it, and then their eyes were opened and they realized this was Jesus. You know, sometimes I think that we fail to see Jesus in the midst of our sorrows, in the midst of our troubles. Why? Well, maybe because we're not looking for him. Maybe our expectations of Jesus are not what they ought to be. These disciples didn't expect the Messiah to be someone who would suffer and die, even though it was in the Scriptures, and it took Jesus meeting with them there and explaining to them the Scriptures. Well, the prophets had foretold that this was what was to happen. And then in communion with him in the breaking of bread, it's interesting that he wasn't the host of the home, and yet he was the one who took the bread and broke it. Because Jesus, Jesus, my dear brothers and sisters, has the authority. He is the authority to bring peace to your life. He is the one that will calm the storm. He is the one who will answer the desires of your heart if you break bread with him. In other words, if you commune with him. So when we do communion, it's not just a little ceremony we have. It's very important and a special time that we can have with Jesus. But we can have that communion with him all day long, every day, if we are looking for him. Are you looking for Jesus? Are you expecting Jesus to show up in your life? He will, you know.